No political dissidents are holders of orthodox political views. All good Americans are holders of orthodox political views. Therefore, no good Americans are political dissidents. Now, the first thing I suggest doing, just to make sure there's no confusion, is get rid of, guess what? Get rid of the words. Replace the words with what? Yeah, with variables, with letters, with placeholders, because these words might get in the way of your appreciating the structure. So because I have P here and I have P here, I'm going to choose different letters here just so I don't foul myself up. For the first one, I'm going to go no political dissidents, D, are H, holders of orthodox political views. You could have chosen V, it doesn't really matter. They're just variables. All G, good Americans, are holders of orthodox political views. Therefore, no good Americans are political dissidents. Now, one of the reasons why I use premises like these, premises that you people might think, well, I'm not sure if these premises are true. Why do you think I pulled this? Why do you think I'm throwing in, and you might see this from time to time, I throw in premises that are not clearly true, that might even get you a little fired up.
It's not relevant.
Yeah, Kapitsky said it. It is not relevant to whether it's valid or not. Do not go back, do not backslide and make the mistake and think that validity is a matter of the truth or the falsity of the premises. That's a measure, that will determine soundness. Validity is purely a measure of structure. Simply because an argument is valid doesn't make it sound. The truth of the premises must be checked to determine that. I would argue that these premises are not necessarily what? I would say the first one is pretty much true, or likely true. I would personally call the second one false, but I have friends who would call the second one true. Because I have friends who say, you should never question the authority of the state. Well, that's not what we anarchists think. Just threw that out there for kicks. Anyway. Let's take care of business here. Okay. Now, let's diagram. How am I going to diagram no DRH? We'll mark that off in red.
This circle and shading one.
What's that again?
Shading one.
That would be the start of all. We're doing no DRH. We shade 2 and 5 because we're saying there's no members of D that are H and no members of H that are D. That's what this thing means right here. Now the second one, all G are H. We'll mark that in blue. 7 and 4. Yeah, if you'd shaded 6, you would be doing all G or D. You would be doing all G or D. So that is how we would diagram these two premises. Now keep in mind, you don't diagram the conclusion. You interpret the diagram to see if the conclusion has been diagrammed. Now, is this one valid or is it invalid? If this one is valid, and that would have been a good inductive guess because I've only shown you once so far in my recent examples. I've been showing you cases of valid ones so far. That doesn't mean I'm going to continue doing that. But this one is indeed valid. Now the question is, how would you explain why it's valid? Yeah, it's just that simple. 4 and 5 are shaded, representing the conclusion, no G or D. See, 4 and 5 being shaded represents no G or D. This one deductively follows 2. Next. Oh, I forgot to ask an important question. If I ask you on a homework question or a long answer test question, I will ask you what the mood and figure is. You'll notice I've already placed this one in standard form because the major is in the major, the minor is in the minor. This one's already in standard form. But what is the mood and figure of this one? Smith?
It's an EAE.
Yes. The mood and figure is indeed an EAE. And the middle term is here, so it's figure 2. And of course, the more of these you see, the easier it gets. Let's do another one. You shouldn't be surprised that I'm going to make things a little more complicated. We're going to get more complicated the farther we go. In this one, I'm going to be doing another one like that homework question that had a particular in it. Yeah, that one, that EIO2 that I showed you a few minutes ago. Let me write this one. All cult members are victims of brainwashing. Some members of the Democratic Party are victims of brainwashing. Therefore, some members of the Democratic Party are cult members. Now, for ease of seeing the argument, let's get rid of the what. Yeah, you'll notice this argument is colorful. It might be one that might make you laugh, not a huge belly laugh, but you know, a sort of sardonic chuckle. It might make you chuckle a little bit. You might agree with it. It might piss you off. I mean, the whole point is that the words are irrelevant to whether it is valid or not. So let's take care of this. All cult members are victims of brainwashing. I could have used M, I could have used B, it doesn't really matter, just so long as you use whatever letters they are consistently. You could use P's, Q's, and R's, or A, B's, and C's. It does not matter. Second one says some members of the Democratic Party, well, just D seems to be convenient, are victims of brainwashing. Therefore, some members of the Democratic Party are cult members. Now you'll notice that this one is in standard form. I have properly constructed AII statements. There are three terms, each used twice but not in the same statement. The major term is in the major premise, minor term is in the minor premise. Everyone should know what the figure is. 2. Yeah, this one's an AII2 syllogism. Guess what? I asked you to construct an AII2 syllogism for homework earlier this week. So you've seen this before. What you didn't see is my demonstration that it is invalid. I just gave you the punchline. It's invalid. Let's demonstrate why. Okay. Let's diagram. How am I going to diagram all C or V? If it were 2 and 5, we'd be doing no C or V. 1 and 4. Yeah, make sure you don't get the convention backwards, because when we're shading the area where there are no members. We're not shading where there are members. So when I shade all C or V this way, I'm saying there's no C's in here. I'm saying if they exist, they're part of the class of things V. Now this second one, some D or V, I'm going to be marking a what? There's going to be an X somewhere. And by the way, I didn't say this before, I want to say it loudly and clearly. You are only allowed to mark one X per premise. The only reason why there ought to be 2 X's on a diagram is if both of these are particulars. If there's 2 I's, 2 O's, or an I and an O. If there are 2 X's on a diagram, and both of these are not particulars, you made a bookkeeping error. But yeah, you're only allowed to draw 1 X. And if it seems like it belongs in 2 sectors, you place it on the line between the 2. Now, where am I going to put my X for some D or V? Hint, it's on a line somewhere. Mr. Keir's got it exactly right. This entire sector, 5 and 6, designates the intersection between D and V. So this is some D or V, this is some D or V. Now because this is not shaded gone, it might go in here, it might go in here. So I place it on the line between the 2. Now even though I told you that this one was invalid, I think we still need to give a more thorough explanation how this diagram shows it to be invalid. Where would the X have to be in order to show some D or C?
6.
No, actually in 6, that would be a D that's not C. It would have to be in either 5 or 4. 5 and 4 are both D's that are C's. So this X would have to be completely in 5. But the thing is, we're not sure if it goes in 5 or not. We're not sure if it goes here or it goes here. So here's my explanation. Invalid. Some D RC would require an X in 4 or 5. That's why it's invalid. There's not clearly an X in 4, nor is there one in 5. Now, obviously, there couldn't have been one in 4 anyway. Why? Yeah, we already shaded it away. So this one is invalid. And by the way, this should be cold comfort to Democrats and Republicans. Good, I got a couple of little grins there. Simply because it's invalid doesn't mean that you're not a cult member. And by the way, anyway, I'm having a little more fun than I probably ought to. Now, we have time for one more. I'm going to run through it very quickly. Because the more examples you see, the better off you will be for giving the homework a nice shot. All red wine drinkers are consumers of vital nutrients. Some red wine drinkers are alcoholics. Ergo, some alcoholics are consumers of vital nutrients. Now folks, just to make things easy with these examples, you'll notice this one's already, it's a little bit whimsical, but it is in standard form already. We could go, all red wine drinkers are consumers of vital nutrients. Some red wine drinkers are alcoholics. Therefore, some alcoholics are consumers of vital nutrients. We have three terms, R, V, and A, each used twice, not in the same statement. I placed it in standard form already. The mood and the figure here is AII3. Now we just saw an AII2. Now you'll notice that the change in the position of the middle term will make all of the difference here. I'm going to check if this one's valid or not. How am I going to diagram all R or V? What am I going to...
1 and 4.
1 and 4. That's all R or V. That was the easy part. The challenging part is, how do I diagram some R or A?
X and 5.
Yeah. Some R, so it's got to be somewhere in the R circle. Some R are A. The only R's left to place anything were 2 and 5. But this isn't A, this is. So we'd have to place it in 5. Some R are A. Now we can call the question. Can we validly deduce some A or B from this argument? The answer is yes. It's valid. The X in 5 is an A that is also B. V, excuse me. It has been demonstrated. Now we are exactly out of time, ladies and gentlemen. So what I'm going to do now